Mark Skaar on the line with Tal Bergman to talk about the new Rock Candy Funk Party. Tal, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. And the reason we got hooked up was through our mutual friend Ty Taylor, somebody I've known for several years, has a great band called Vintage Trouble, and Ty is featured on the song Don't Even Try It. How does it get hooked up?
Well, it was actually the way it started because we were doing a record, and one of the tracks was so it was really like groovy in a way where you don't want to really make it into an instrumentals, and we didn't think it needs any solos and stuff. So we were thinking, why don't we put vocals? We never had any vocals. So then it's like, who would be really good for that? And then Ron De Jesus, which is my partner in crime there, the guitar player, the funkiest guy you can find, said, well, there is this guy, Ty Taylor, from Vintage Trouble. And I said, okay, well, let's check it out. And he sent me a video. I listened pretty much to, I must say, not more than 10 or 15 seconds. And I said to him, that's the guy.
Nice.
And it was just like, how come this guy's in LA and I don't even know him? And John knew him because I guess they were playing together in different venues. So I spoke to Joe, and Joe said, that's a great idea. So we reached out to him, and he was all for it. And then I talked to him, and he was like the nicest guy you can imagine. And he said, well, send me the track so I can hear it. And I sent him the track, and right away he said, man, I'm there. And so, a few days later, we went into the studio, and he wrote the lyrics, and he wrote the melody, and he did all the arrangements on the vocals. Even though I'm the producer on this thing, I was sitting there and I was blown away. I mean, and he brought a friend of him, Tom Daly, to play, to do backgrounds. And it was like boom, bing, bang, boom, and it was so funky, and and the lyrics are great, and everything, and I was so happy with it. So, now I want to do as much stuff as possible that I can do with this guy because he's a genius, and I usually don't say that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's an immense talent for sure. And
yeah, he's like, you can tell that he's like usually just scratching the surface with this, He knows so much stuff, like really, and his vocabulary is huge of many styles. Which really, help. I mean, that track, just so people will know, is all played live as a rhythm section and with some overdubs, but there is no quantizing. It's what you hear. It's really the way it was played.
And Tal, maybe I should have started the interview by having you describe to our listeners some of the people that you've played with. You played with some heavy hitters over your career.
Yeah. Well, it's how I pay the rent.
Right.
I play with a lot of people. I always say I play with anybody from Billy Idol to Joe Zawinul.
There you go. So,
and in between. So, pretty much an all-around drummer.
Very good. We're with Tal Bergman talking about Rock Candy Funk Party. You also have Mahalia Barnes, who's the daughter of Jimmy Barnes. And if you don't know who Jimmy is, Jimmy's a legend in Australian circles and fabulous singer. Tell me about Mahalia's track and how she got involved.
Well, we did a song for a James Brown tune, and we were saying who would do it, and I said, if we bring a guy to sing on it, it will be too much like trying to be James Brown,
mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to sound like somebody just covering it. I wanted to maintain all the funkiness, but make it a little modern and a different twist. So Joe suggested Mahalia because he was working with her.
Okay.
And she's a great singer. So I said, definitely, let's give it a shot. So, pretty much, I sent her the track. She was in Australia. And I spoke with her on the phone and gave her some instructions and the vibe that I wanted to get. And then the rest, I just said, just make it your own. Don't try to be, James Bond, but just make it your own. And she went into, I think, her father's studio and recorded it, sent it back to me, and it was killer. So, and she really did it justice, which is very hard to do on a James Brown too.
For sure. We're with Tal Bergman.
Yeah.
Talking about The Groove Cubed, which is out October 20th. So there's 14 songs, 2 with vocals, and there has to be 12 instrumentals, and I love some of the titles, Tal. Drunk on Bourbon on Bourbon Street, Two Guys and Stanley Kubrick Walk into a Jazz Club. This tune should run for president. That's just 3 of them. That's just awesome stuff.
Yeah, those names will make sense once you hear it.
Muster Fuckadamus returns and he is mad. That's another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you probably sit around a room and come up with these crazy things, huh?
That's us together when we're in during the recordings. Sometimes we throw ideas and say, well, you know what, that's it. Let's just call it that. People say, really? We say, yeah. and usually, like, Joe has great ideas. He's really, really good with all that stuff. And so, like, like he came up with the name for the one with the 2 guys, Stanley Kubrick walks into a jazz club. Okay. Who would think about the title like that?
Right.
But when you hear the tune, you will see that it's it's like a movie that you don't want to give the ending to, So you got to hear it, and then you get a lot of that the stuff, because it's really a band where when we get together, there is really no rules, and as we say, expect the unexpected. So you don't know when something is going to hit you, and it will. Because we're not trying to be rich from this. We're doing it for love, and usually, all we do is hope people like it.
That's right, and of course we keep alluding to Joe Bonamassa, who's a legendary guitar player, blues great that you've been playing with for several years, and he's been in on all of this too, just having fun with you.
Oh yeah, because we started the band, Ronnie and me, and then Mike joined in, and then when there was a time when I was touring with Joe. I'm not touring with him anymore. I think already for 2 years or something like that. I'm not with him on the road. But when I was, he was. He said one time, "I see you guys are playing. Can I come and sit in?" I said, "Sure," because we were just playing for fun sometime at a place called Baked Potato in LA, jazz club. And once he came again, he's like, "Whoa, okay, can I come again?" I said, "Sure." And before you know it, he was a member in the band, and then we decided, why don't we go in the studio and record some stuff? So, usually when we were going to record, we have nothing written before we go in. The idea is to is to come to the studio and at least come up with a track a day and finish it. At least the main rhythm section part.
And you got a room full of pros, and so I would imagine that it gets very interesting because you come in every day with a fresh palette, and you're trying to complete something, and you don't know what it is until you get there.
Yeah, so we start with a groove, or somebody brings an idea, and the good thing about this group of people is, even though we all have egos, we leave them outside the door. So when we are there, it's really what's good for the song, and nobody there is trying to show off how good it is. It's all about, really what it has to groove. If it's not grooving, and it doesn't matter in what style, it's not on the record. Yeah, and grooving by like in an old school way, when you have 5 guys in a room. On this record we used Renato Neto, that's an amazing pianist, keyboard player.
Mm-hmm.
And he was with us on the first record and on the second record. So he's been with us throughout, and he played on this record. So we're just sitting there coming up with the ideas, and once something is really, locked in and you have all the interplay between the musicians and we come up with the parts, only then we record it. You know what I mean? And then obviously we listen to it and making sure we like it. And so it keeps the freshness of like interplay between musicians.
We're with talb Bergman talking about Rock Candy Funk Party. About how long did it take then to put these ideas together in totality?
Well, the recording process was in 2 separate dates where we had, I think, like 5 days each. That took because it's tough to get everybody at the same time.
Sure.
With everybody's, schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say it's around, I would say, like 10 days or so of actual rhythm section recordings. And then I would say a few good months of post-production that goes into whatever other parts that we're missing, that we want, and for me to do like additional like programming or stuff that I really, I think I need to do to because I don't, it is old school, but it's new school. So we're trying to really, the palette is like I would say, in every genre, we're allowing to ourselves to explore different genres and mash it together.
No boundaries.
No, why?
Exactly. Exactly.
Nobody makes money in the back end anyways. Am I right?
Right.
We do, and I think also in music today, there is no rules, and the idea is, it's, when to incorporate different styles. I would say, if Miles would be alive today, he would do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Exactly. And that's in a way is jazz. You can, we're not just improvising in the playing, we're also improvising with what we're choosing, what kind of music to do.
Tell if people want to find you online and follow the band and your progress, what's the best way they can do that?
Oh, well, there is rockcandyfunkparty.com. Everything is there. I think there is a new website that's up. Obviously on Facebook, we have a Facebook page by the same name. You can also go to talbergman.com, which is my site, and Joe Bonamassa, his site. And I'm sure it's going to be on iTunes, but everywhere. Hopefully, that people will promote it between themselves.
Don't Even Try It with Ty Taylor and Rock Candy Funk Party. It's a great, great song. The Groove Cubed out October 20th. Check it out. Tal, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much.
For talb Bergman, I'm Mark Skaar.